Well, hey, everybody. Thank you for coming to the broker appreciation meeting for December 15th. I thank you for your time and you will be rewarded for it. My name is Dan Nolan. I'm the managing broker of Exit Realty Solutions out of Schererville, Indiana, covering both sides of that Illinois and Indiana border happily. And happily because it is something that you can do. If it's something that you haven't thought of before, if things are getting a little bit dry around your quote unquote area, maybe you need to go where the work is. And we're going to show you a couple of things that we're doing to help you get through 2024 and 2025. We're going to just focus on 2024 today, and I do want to thank you. It is the holiday season. I know we only have, what, 9 shopping days left until the big whoop-de-doo when, uh, when the trespasser comes down my chimney. It was how it was presented when I was small. Okay, there you go. If you have any questions about anything that you see in any of this, you can text me 85377 Dan at exit. Put it in the message line there, and we will have a conversation and have everything clear. This is something that is going to affect your career, and it's something that will save your career. So, without any further ado, I think it's going to be a very quick meeting. If I could just make this real quick, let's do this. So, we all came from different industries. Well, I come from a foreclosure background. I used to be a foreclosure manager for a private bank in Chicago, the third largest bank in Chicago. And I learned real estate from a banker's perspective. I bring skills to the table that others possibly cannot, unless they've actually run a short sale department. It got to the point where I was starting to see that the rewards were not on the banker's side, but on the broker side. And 23 years later, I'm still helping people dangle the keys to a new home. However, I've also grown in that 23 years, and I'm taking my skills to the next level, and I'm expanding my comfort zone, and I'm getting out there and I'm trying new things. Um, it's important that we take care of our mental self and our physical self, which is why I'm thrilled that we even have insurance through Allstate here at Exit. But we also have other ways of being magnanimous and feeling better about the job that we do, especially when it comes to programs like Homes for Heroes. I'm happy to be a proud sponsor of Dyer and Munster, Indiana. If there's heroes in those two towns, I would love to talk to them and help them save money on their next home purchase. It's that giving that brought us to this occupation. We all have that in us. We are givers. We shouldn't be yes men, but we should be givers. So, what we are looking at in 2024 and 2025 are a couple of changes, mostly because we didn't do a good job of explaining how the money works. Okay, maybe it got glossed over. Um, it was something that we would take care of, kind of thing. It's actually leverage, and it's actually the seller's leverage. So, with the things that we were doing, they would have been okay if we would have just said, this is how it works, or this is how we can do it. So now we got this mm, a couple of lawsuits out there against NAR for those practices. Basically, it's just a matter of communication. And the paperwork that's going to be going forward in all the boards are starting to come through. I have a final copy coming for Indiana, but I got a preview of the looks at the new forms that they're presenting, and we're just going to go through a couple. But it's been pretty wild. Um, But when you think about the market and you think about where the market's going to go, I've always thought uh, being forward looking was going to be the key, and technically it is because we are looking at business that's not going to close for 60 days. So our business is forward based. But it took us 3 years the last time we went through a housing crisis to get back to where we started. And when you figure out that the normal market is what you were trained for, and now it's no longer there, what are you going to do to survive? And that's adapt. So we have trainings in place to help you get yourself through what we see is going to be a pretty tough time for a lot of people, not just people with equity, but people who can no longer afford to stay in their homes because of homeowners insurance and taxes. So we have a double whammy coming our way. But the buyers that are out there right now, they're totally serious. They're locked down solid. Every pre-approval letter I've gotten in the last 6 months has been a solid buyer. They have money. That's not everybody in our market. But when this pent up urge for these 3% mortgages release, we're going to see inventory change to the upside. So it's a matter of getting from where we are now to that point. When are we going to get to that point? Probably after the second rate decrease in 2024. Hopefully, they will let the changes happen and give this a little bit more time. But I'm out of time. I've been patient a year. Let's go with this thing. It's not something that goes away overnight, which is why we have to get out of our comfort zone and grow a little. But these changes are going to affect everybody across the United States. Every state will have a lawsuit. This is just how, oh, and by the way, these lawsuits, by the time all is said and done, probably in 2030, somewhere around there, um, the people who were affected will probably receive a check for $12.50. That's right. All this commotion is going to bring back to the sellers who were harmed $12. Way to go! But let's be clear, we weren't clear, and that's where we that's where we're going to start. Uh, but you are looking at a better market in a business sense. We are seeing brokers across the nation no longer stay in the business. It was just something that was bound to happen. We need to be a little bit stronger and we need to show that we're still in business. My first broker, Pat, don't be a secret agent. I love that. Don't be a secret agent. Is enough? Is it on your Facebook? Do you have a Facebook page? Are you doing what you can to make sure that you're staying active and finding places to meet people? That's what we're all about. So let's take a look at how we're going to announce your presence with authority in 2024. You're going to need to step away from the normal role and just be an explainer and a questioner. But we came into this business because we do want to help people. Our golden thread is that we know that there are people out there who would take advantage of them, and we want to step in front of that bullet. They're friends of ours, or our brotherhood dictates that we take care of you and we got your six. We're all like that. We need to make a little bit more difference when we're sitting across from the people who sustain our lifestyle. And sometimes it is an intellectual challenge. Um, you are sometimes challenged to say something that needs to be resaid or rephrased in the moment. And that's part of our job is adapting to those changes. And flexibility and independence, I mean, I'm ruined for a 9 to 5 job. My flexibility and independence is everything I wanted, and I've got it through real estate. I also found the place that I want to work, and I'm an exit lifer. So I got lucky. I mean, from the start, I got lucky. Uh, but we also need to go through some personal development. Personal development is not just taking care of yourself mentally, but also taking care of your professional skills when it comes to how you present yourself and how you manage to be yourself in front of other people. We also have networking opportunities that are not utilized very well. When you go to a networking opportunity, are you bringing just business cards and a smile? Or do you have something of value that you can give to someone that says a little bit more about you? Like, say, a trifold instead of a business card. Those are the things that we're looking at doing different in 2024. But don't overlook your leadership potential. We all have skills outside of real estate that help us become a better real estate business. We promote our brokers to advance their skills every year. One when we do our business plan, we want to see one moving forward step. And I'm going to have a couple of ideas for you at the end here. But building yourself also builds your team. So we want you to get a good start in 2024, and we want you to build to your wildest dreams, which may actually be owning a franchise. Let's face it, we're not here to put signs in yards for the rest of our lives. We would like to see our businesses grow and have people put the signs in the yards for us. We want to grow you that. We want to grow you there. So in 2024, what are going to be our financial rewards? Well, they're going to be far and few between, but we did come here because it does have a high earning potential. The three words that got me into the business were right here in the corner here: unlimited income potential. Are we living up to that? Where we can just go ahead and just clean the board or just like own a subdivision or own an area where it's all yours and your referrals are referring. Are you doing enough to bring that business in? Those are those financial rewards that come easy, and it's something that you should be doing to keep a consistent market on the books. Now, remember, you also control your income. Your earnings are directly tied to your effort and performance. So when you tell me that you haven't done enough, that you've done everything you can, I can go under each rock and find a couple that you didn't do. There are other ways of what's in front of you. You just got to get out of the box and do it. And when you do that, you'll meet people along the way, like minded individuals who actually do want to build a business and get paid for building it. Just like insurance companies, we give you a little bit of extra just because you're helping build the exit brand. Now, we're going to go through a couple of things that are going to change in 2024 in the paperwork. The lawsuits are making changes because we didn't really be clear on what exactly was going on in the paperwork. We need to stop glossing over and shortcutting the commission sections. It's a part of our business to be clear, and it's their decision to make. So maybe there was a couple of things that could have been done better. We're going to do that in 2024, and we're just going to go through. I'm just going to go through some of the things that are going to pertain to you right away. I will have every document sent to you. Just give me. You can text me or call me. I will get you a copy of all the agreements and our paperwork that has changed in 2024. For now, Indiana does have their paperwork in order and ready for rollout in January. Right now, it hasn't been numbered, and the copyrights and all that, boilerplate stuff isn't done yet. That will be available in January. But they did give me a chance to look see forward what this is going to look like. So we're just going to take a quick look at what our job is going to be like. Now the forms that we are looking at changing. There's 11 of them. The purchase agreement, improved and unimproved, and the listing contract, improved and unimproved, and leases. We have an as is addendum to the purchase agreement now. We also have an appraisal gap addendum. I don't know if Illinois is going to do this, but the appraisal gap addendum is something that's going to help these multiple offer situations become a little bit more clearer. Uh, I really like that one. So let's start with one of the changes in the document. The buyer should verify and rely upon buyer's own determination of total square footage, land, room dimensions, county amenities, if material, and releases the seller, the listing and selling brokers, and licenses associated with brokers from any liability relating to such determination. You can't get pissed off at the listing agent for listing the wrong square footage. You can't get pissed off at the appraisers putting in the database at the county the wrong square footage. If you are walking through a home and you feel like that home doesn't feel like 1,200 square feet, keep I got tape measure in my car. I can also walk them off. My foot's about 12 inches. So it is easy to just walk it off and add up the square footage as you're there. But it does clarify that it's on the buyer to verify, and as your buyer's broker, you should be helping them. Another improvement, line 136, ordered by, here in Indiana, we designate who's going to order the title and the title and what title company to use, and we also have who pays what in our contracts to sellers. So this is just a clarification. Everybody has their own side of the fence. Those are all negotiable. I mean, if there's a seller who wants to pay a commission and a bonus, that's their call. If there's a seller who uh, wants to just pay his portion of the fees, they'll let you know. And that's a conversation they have before you even get there. Most good contracts are developed through communication, not through the I wants. Another one, inspections required by law, FHA, VA, or by lender are not included in this waiver. We have a small clause that says that, it restricts these inspections once the inspection period starts. The VA definitely here in Indiana will ask for a termite inspection. Well, it's not mentioned in any of the paperwork. Um, the homes that I typically see are on well and septic. I live in a town of 2,000 people, and I love it here. However, it brings its own challenges and new dimensions that you need to learn to understand and manage through, including septic systems and wells. Um, it's really hard to explain how that works unless you take control of it. My offers typically say well and septic must pass inspections. Just that. I put the burden on the seller. Tell me what you got. Uh, we have uh, uh, people who have appraisal gaps who just basically say, no, I'm done. I don't want to do that. And we have a clause for that. We're actually going to beef that section up. Um, but we also are going to apply that to the inspection period. If the buyer thinks that the inspection failed miserably and is no longer what they expected in the home, they can send in a mutual release to be released. And now we're going to put in a counter response for the sellers. The sellers can reject the buyer's initial response and they can terminate by just simply sending a mutual release. It's something that has been a point of contention every so often, especially in the homes that are more affordable. You don't see too many of those in the 300, 400 up price point. But in the used homes that you see in the residential market, this will give each side a fair chance at saying, well, no, that doesn't work for me. And you let them do their thing. If they want to walk away from their inspection, mutual release, release of funds. So now the appraisal gap. The gap has always been like a question mark, especially when it was multiple offer situations. That got very confusing for a lot of brokers, not knowing what to do because you're waiting on an answer that you don't know what is going to be. So you prepare for it's okay and it's not okay. But that appraisal gap is not a cause for the purchase price to increase or decrease. The buyer is not required to pay more than the agreed upon purchase price. Neither party is required to proceed at a decreased purchase price. The parties may mutually agree to amend the agreed upon purchase price, and we have a form for that, and proceed towards closing. Either party may terminate the purchase agreement by submitting a mutual release. So if this is your buyer was the lucky recipient of a multiple purchase approval, that appraisal gap still needs to be addressed, and it's easier to address a point of contention like this up front. And this is what this is trying to do. They are not locked in just because the appraisal came back $8,000 more than they offered. The following 5 new forms will be added in 2024 out here in Indiana. I can't tell you if Illinois is going to do anything close to this, but I am watching. Uh, we do have a no buyer agency acknowledgement form to go along with our buyer's agency agreement and our no agency agreement. So there are changes that have come, but this is also another thing. If they're going to try and decouple the buyer's broker from the sales transaction, how is that going to work when I'm in front of a buyer? Well, I've been doing it for 12 years over here. I can tell you, I've done every buyer's agency agreement that I could possibly do. I know that there's a couple of people who I thought was okay, and I kind of skipped it. And then they went to an open house and signed on with a broker who happened to like the customer enough to sign them right up. It's been less and less of that shadiness going on, but you do worry about losing a buyer to a slickster, you know. So locking them in is going to be one of the things that you're going to want to do. I have always, and I got to thank Pat for this. I always have blanks in my car, and these are blanks that I keep on my clipboard when I'm going out and meeting new clients. First thing I do is I no agency. I'm just here. If we move forward with this, I have the next form for you. But the exclusive agreement is going to be critical. If you put in the description of what they're looking for as a 2 bedroom, 1 bath, 1,200 square foot, um, white picket fence in Garfield Park or Indianapolis, you're not going to find a lot of those. The less specific, the better. So if you are working with a client, you simply put single family home or condo or townhouse, however that looks, in Cook County, in Hamilton County, in that area that they're looking in, expand it because they may actually move out. They may choose to not live in the area that they said they wanted to. And a lot of concessions are going to be by distance. So you're probably going to want to just go ahead and make it as wide as possible. That will keep you out of trouble. Now, when it comes to a retainer, our business um, is based on getting paid. I typically only use a retainer for when I'm doing uh, uh, videos, walkthroughs. A lot of relocators need to see things that from 2,000 miles away. I'm happy to do that for them once this is in order. But you should not be doing any business without a buyer's agency agreement going forward. It's what keeps you in line with getting paid. And that's what we're also trying to do, right? I hate to go to a closing and find out I didn't get paid. And I'd hate to hear it from one of my brokers because something got missed. When you do this right, nothing gets missed. We also are going to be changing our buyer's agency agreements. If you are making changes, you put it on an amendment. If you're making additions to it, you put it on an addendum. I kind of like that because that's how we do things in real estate, anyways. We do have a progression that we follow. Now, Illinois already has a non exclusive buyer's representation. I get it. If that's something that you need to do, at least make other services on line F as wide as possible. Do keep track of your contacts because procuring cause is going to determine a lot of how that action is going to get paid. So keep a timeline. Timelines are also good for when you uh, start seeing things not going correctly. Maybe something's a little shady or something happened. Start writing things down so that you have a timeline of events that happened in order. It comes in handy if something gets really messy. So what do we expect in 2024? I went through Buffini's bold predictions. Uh, Lawrence Yun had pretty much a spot on take, and I can get you a copy of that if you'd like to see it. But it does look like we're going to be off to a slow start and maybe a bang at the end. We have two things that are going to affect our business. We have the Fed continuing to play with the rates. They will be playing them down this year. We expect three Fed rate decreases, probably at a 25% basis point, not the 50s or the 75s that we got when we first started dropping and attacking the inflation front. Uh, so we will see some decreases. Now, the decreases don't always mean that the gates are open and the bulls are out and it's time to charge. It will be a slow transition. Every time the Fed has raised rates, it's been a slow transition for the consumer to get back into the market. If you're working with your consumers on a close day to day basis, week to week, check in once a month, this is something that you can keep them on the edge of their seat for. But we do expect inventory of homes to be flat. That will keep the upward pressure and the downward pressure on homes level. So we don't expect to see too much of an increase in the value of homes, but that's a supply and demand thing that's also going to be predicated by interest rates and the election. Rents are going to drop. We have plenty of inventory when it comes to connected living. I can Noblesville. I can name six new apartment buildings that all have over 120 units going in. We are seeing those projects complete. That's going to take a little bit of pressure off of the rental market. And once those rentals are on the market, prices will drop. Supply and demand. But builders, they're a wild card. I got to tell you, some of the builders put a big price tag on their houses to cover some of these rate buy downs that they've been doing. I'll use Lennar for because I I have a friend over at Lennar. They know what they're doing. If you think that there's 17 new houses in that subdivision that are ready to go because that's what you saw in the MLS, they got another 10 in their back pocket that's not even on the MLS. They don't want to flood the market. They're going to trickle them in. So they do know what they're doing. They're holding tight to the prices they've assigned to these homes. Even with all that fat on that, they can still trim a little by doing a rate bite down, and beat the bankers and lock in buyers who want to partake in a lower rate. Who doesn't? I mean, the 3% rates are killing us right now. When we get closer to 5%, some of those people will lighten up and say, I hate this house. I hate being in a 3% mortgage. They're going to start sounding like my dad when it was time to pay for the mortgage. Grumpy old man term comes out and change becomes available. So put the two pieces together. What we do see on the business side is that more brokers are leaving the industry. They are no longer carrying their license. They are just, release me from the office. I'm done with this thing. And I can't blame them. I mean, if you were coming into this business and you have no background or no skills to bring to the table, all this is new. I mean, you're new to sales, you're new to systems, you're new to contracts and how to read and fill out one. You're going to be a courier to go back and forth. You're going to be doing a whole lot of marketing to keep your pipeline full. You're going to be networking, which means that you're going to be out and about. You got scripts to remember. You don't want to say the wrong thing to the wrong person. So every response that you have should have four other responses depending on the personality you're talking to. So the line goes on and on. Oh, and don't forget, you may have to be a psychologist or like the bartender down the street. There are cases like divorce and foreclosures that change the landscape of the transaction, and you should be aware that that's something that you should be managing well in the moment. Sometimes you have to get in front of it, and we can teach you how to do that. It keeps things from getting wild. I can't tell you the last time I just had a normal transaction and nothing was sideways. This is going to be on your toes kind of territory. Brokerages are also starting to make a transition. The independents are starting to come to Exit and other major brands. If you've noticed, Exit is still no problem with any of that NAR problems going on. And we're going to stay a member with NAR and keep our ethics and our commitment to professionalism intact. I would not want to be in a brokerage where they have to leave NAR. I would have to leave them. Those are the kind of businesses that we're going to see coming forward. They're going to, some are just going to have to merge. We are interested in talking to anyone who is thinking about opening or transitioning their franchise to Exit because it just makes sense to keep our ethics and keep ourselves in line with what we promised versus not having any ethics at all. Brokers looking to add income to their businesses reserve account while leveraging their licenses is going to be huge. You may want to take a look at fix and flips. Um, you may want to enter a new trade and add maybe home inspector to your list of things. You may want to get a background in rentals and rent control, how to maintain a property management company. But there are going to be opportunities opening up. You just need to be ready for them. Brokers will need to learn how a wider service area works and how to manage it. This may not just be my little neck of the woods kind of business anymore. I am a dual state licensed managing broker in Illinois and Indiana. That got pretty wide coming from a guy who's from Hoffman Estates and just loved the whole area. I live in a similar area down here. That's why I'm never. I go where it works. Um, but you gotta be aware that sometimes the business isn't in your backyard. Sometimes you have to go visit it. And I have no problem leaving an extra 15 minutes early, an extra half hour early. I got business in Illinois. I'm coming from Indianapolis. I'm leaving 2 hours early. I have time to find business that's not close because I put it in my business plan to do that. It requires a little extra budget, a little extra timing, friends over at Enterprise Rent a Car, and things of that nature where you can actually participate in another. And look at Illinois and Indiana. I mean, if you're living in Tinley Park or Frankfurt or Bourbonnais, Kankakee, anywhere near the border, you're 5 minutes away from a whole state worth of business. Have you looked at expanding just over to the other side? We help with that every day. Brokers will also need to learn how to deal with delinquent and pre foreclosure sellers. This is where that psychologist and the bar buddy, your bartender down the street, come in. There are things that you're going to need to be aware of, but we are going to see that section of the market become more prevalent as time goes on. Remember, they may have gotten through COVID, but are they getting through the tax changes that have happened in their communities in the last year, or in the last three in the case of Cook County? These changes are now squeezing those homeowners even more than ever before. I just got checked in with a Navy friend of mine over in one of the subdivisions. Cookie cutter subdivision, nice subdivision. He said that he got an escrow request to fill $800 worth of hole, or his payments will change. I can't remember the last time I got a notice like that from my bank. That okay, a couple hundred, yeah, but he's looking at an $850 shortage, or his payments go up. That's where the pinch is coming in. You're going to see delinquency. It's just going to be a financial disaster. They lost their job. They went nuts during COVID. They saved their COVID money, but unfortunately it ran out, and they still don't have enough employment to keep the house payments. There are things going. But they have a house they can't sell. Um, there are some things that stop people from moving forward who are actually in need of some help. That's what we do. We just want to help because I got to tell you, when I was working at the bank and looking at these short sales, there were things in the storyline that I could see that they could have done something different. They could have traded in the $900 car payment sooner. They could have, they didn't have to go to Greece on their home equity line of credit, whatever. That there was always something that's like, well, maybe that was just a bad decision, and it creates a string of bad decisions. So it's our job to get in front of those in 2024. I actually have a way of finding, you know what? I have a way of, let me see here. I want to do this. Uh, I went through the Northwest Indiana market, and I was just looking for things that are going on in Northwest Indiana. So I pull up the databases and everything. This is a picture of everyone who is 30, 60, 90, or 120 days past due. They're about to go into the foreclosure system. Don't you think these people need some help? So I've been working on a campaign, and I've been able to complete several ways of communicating with these people. These people need help. They either have equity they're about to lose, or they're about to get foreclosed on and they're about to get served a federal lawsuit. I don't think of clients, I don't think there's any, I can name maybe two clients who would understand the strength and the severity of a foreclosure lawsuit. It's treated like a dental bill or a medical bill. We got to stop doing that. We got to get to them while they're 30, 60, or 90 days past due before the damage is done. Because there's more options I can do with the bank at that point, too. And we're going to have to, let's just admit it, now that we're in a hybrid world, the timing and scheduling doesn't work for everyone. This is where my theory of managing an office comes in. I've always given my brokers dedicated one-on-one time each week. You get a full hour of whatever you want to talk about, or I move on and I teach you something that I've learned throughout the years that are going to help you in today's world. Got to tell you, I, there's a lot of leadership going on over here, and our owner happens to be a lawyer. So we have at Libby Popovic out of Tinley. She also went through the war in '05, '06, '07, '08, '09 with me. We can tell you stories about what you're about to see. So stick with the ones who are already experienced. If you're interested in looking for a wider path to real estate world, Illinois brokers can come over here to Indiana. It's as easy as going to in.gov/access. They have a little in the corner here. They have a little chatbot, which leads to a live operator. Those are always fun to play with. But if you go through in.gov/access, they'll start you off with your licensing procedures and you can get started that way. It's just that easy. Yeah, you can do it online. I took my Indiana managing, no, I took my Indiana broker's test from Schaumburg, Illinois, and I took my Indiana managing broker's test in Tinley. No, I'm sorry. It was that that location was closed. I had to go to a different one. But I've been able to work my licenses from another state and still get them. However, I did have to move here to get my managing broker's license. That was 2 years of back to the bones basics and getting into survival mode. Um, but I was well prepared going into it, and it was actually a piece of cake to get this office open. And it's my pleasure to be in an office 10 years running, number one exit office in Indiana. Proud of that one. Now, if you're thinking about growing, you can think about the things that are going to be coming up and getting trained for them. If you're thinking about moving out into the sticks with me, you can come out and maybe do some land certifications. But if you're going to stay where you're at, that's okay too. I'll put on the miles. Um, your ABR, your accredited buyers resource, absolutely is going to be one of the ones that you're going to need the most. The second one's going to be short sales and foreclosure resource. I can tell you stories on how that helped my career because I was one of the ones who helped get that off the ground. There's also look at all the certified real estate brokerage manager. That might be my move forward. I'm just saying, when I was putting this list together, there's ways of us to grow, expand our comfort zone, and help more people. And that's what we're doing this for. I certainly hope that's what you're doing it for. So if you have any questions, I'd love to talk to you one on one. You can text Dan at exit to 85377, or you can go ahead and scan my little my QR code there. Goes right to my appointment center. You're going to like the technology exit brings you. If you have any questions, I'm your man. I'm glad you stopped by and took a look at what's going on for 2024. 2024 is going to bleed into 2025, and it's not a bad thing to think about a 1 year plan or a 2 year, 5 year, 10 year plan when you do a 1 year plan. We do keep track of how you're rolling out towards your plan, and we want you to be successful. We know that's the wind in your sails when you do something as easy as a business plan. So if you like some private time, give me a call. We'll schedule some private time and we'll help you around. But yeah, let's get ready for 2024 to last a good couple of years before things, quote unquote, go back to what a normal market is. They're not going to be normal consumers the way you remember them when it comes to 25. We need to be ready and be there for when 2025 comes to us. Anything else, you just let me know, and I appreciate you very much. Have a happy holiday. It is the holiday season. You may have some downtime or some family time. Whatever you have going into the holiday, cherish it. It beats not having it at all. And with that, I will talk to you again. See you guys. Bye now.